Mark, what did Citigroup do for Indonesia? You know, you have been here for decades.
Well, almost half a century, actually. I think we just recently celebrated our 50th anniversary. So it's, listen, it's a really important market for us. And you know, it's a somewhat unique market is that we have the full breadth of our corporate footprint here, if you will. It's a consumer banking business that we have, in the card space we operate. The business that I run is really a specific piece of our, what we call our institutional client group, which focuses on helping multinational corporates that are, you know, that are outside Indonesia wanting to do more business and help the Indonesian market and invest. And so we help them with lending money. Probably the most important thing we help with fundamentally is helping clients that are not Indonesian wanting to do business in Indonesia to help navigate the regulatory framework. That's one of the most important roles that we play as advisors to our clients, because you know, our established multinational corporates have very well established success models that work in many countries, but every time they go into a new country and they invest, they have to adapt it to what is unique and different. And the world is getting more unique and more different. You know, I mean, globalization is a wonderful thing, but many regulators are heading in different directions right now in terms of what they think is important, in terms of what they want to control in certain countries. So I think that's really the most important role that my team is playing for Citi and for Indonesia, is acting as a natural gateway to advise multinational corporates that want to come in and bring their expertise and help develop certain sectors of the Indonesian market, whether it's on the industrial side, whether it's the commodities side, whether it's the consumer side, or increasingly more so, whether it's the tech side. It's the advisory work that really starts the whole conversation, and then the products and what we actually do later in terms of lending money and, you know, foreign exchange, helping them manage that, or trade finance or cash management. That really happens because we were there at the beginning to help them navigate their business and what is still a relatively complex country in Indonesia. It's you know, it's not it takes some planning to get through the regulatory framework that Indonesia has.
So which companies or clients, you know, like does Citigroup serve in Indonesia?
So we serve over, I think, close to 400 different multinationals.
400?
400. But that would be counting, you know, just one of those clients just once. Many of them have multiple subsidiaries here that operate in different lines of business. And so that's a pretty good penetration for us in terms of, and it's in all the sectors that you would imagine. It's consumer products, it's commodities, more so in the industrial space with a lot of the expansions that's happening with the infrastructure. You know, many times our clients, the multinational clients, aren't the ones actually driving the infrastructure project per se, but there's lots to do around the infrastructure project in terms of suppliers, in terms of engineering work that's being done, in terms of the tools they use to measure the infrastructure projects. You know, that's where we really get involved with our clients on the industrial side.
So how big those 400 companies, the value of those 400 companies that you manage in Indonesia?
The value in terms of the revenues that
Exactly.
they generate here? I don't know that number off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
But that's really huge.
But it is, as I said, it's one of the, in terms of the business that we do with them, it makes Indonesia one of our top 15 countries globally in terms of the importance of that business. And I would expect that to grow to be top 10 in the future. In the future, absolutely. It's just going to continue to be, you know, growing and increasing in importance.
20 and 20 or?
Yeah, in the early 20s, I would say. Depends. My boss would like to have it sooner, that's for sure.
Mario, let's talk about fintech. You know,
Sure.
like Indonesia is one of the biggest country using gadget, you know, everywhere. And a lot of startups. Young people in Indonesia loves to be CEO from a startup. So
good for them.
Does Citigroup involve in the startup as well, unicorn as well, like in cash management, for example?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways we approach, you know, fintech. Obviously, there's fintech companies as clients, and then there's fintech companies as partners in terms of our business. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that banks are approaching what's happening in fintech right now. You cannot ignore it. It is changing the industry. I think the fundamental divide is, are you talking about fintech for consumers, for people like you and me, or are you talking about fintech for companies? And I think consumers have demonstrated a much greater willingness to embrace new fintech technology, particularly millennials, when perhaps the amount of trust is high, but not as high as our corporate clients would demand. And so on the institutional side, what we're doing is we have a partnership approach. We have a Citi Ventures within Citi that is co-investing in many new startups.
Are you involving in unicorns from Indonesia at the moment?
Yeah, we have several of the famous Indonesian unicorns are clients of ours. Gojek,
what are you doing for them?
Gojek, Traboka as well, and we're helping them. They're going to be very well banked here in Indonesia. We'd be happy to work with them in Indonesia. Where we can really add value is when they start to reach out. Companies grow up. Once their local market gets small, then they go to their neighborhood, then they go to the whole region, and then they go globally. And that's where I think we can really help with this current generation of Indonesian unicorns coming up, is helping them access Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, India, China. Those are big markets. Middle East.
Okay, so it's not only cash management.
Well, I mean, the main thing we do is advise these clients on how they can get into these markets. And cash management is the core foundation product that our institutional client group stands on, because it creates a day-to-day relationship with the clients, and it helps them with the basic foundation of cash in and cash out, which is really important when you're tracking a business. But it can range from the strategic in terms of mergers and acquisition and helping them grow not organically but inorganically through targeting certain acquisition targets through our investment bank. It can help them tap capital markets in Indonesia, outside Indonesia. It can help with managing commodity risk that they may have. It can help them source environmentally friendly electricity in certain markets where we have that. It's really a branching out, but the most important thing we need to do is understand what their growth agenda is and gather our advisory resources so we can figure out how we can help these clients grow.
Okay. So it's interesting. I'm going to ask you more about the fintech, but we have to break at the moment.
Sure.
Kami akan kembali saat lagi, masih bersama dengan Mark Marlino. Saat lagi masih di Iconomics CNBC Indonesia, Beyond Business.
In the industry that goes beyond just banking. But banking is a business of trust at the end of the day, right? There has to be an element of trust, and trust is a fickle thing with the humans, with human beings, and if you lose trust, things can go bad very quickly.